Welcome to today's episode of Cambria Private Capital's Ignite&Scale, where we delve into the stories of trailblazers who are redefining industries and scaling new heights of innovation. Today we're honoured to host James Hind, the visionary founder of Carwow. From its inception, when James was just 23 years old, Carwow has revolutionised how new cars are bought, surviving and thriving through the pandemic. Now, with the strategic acquisition of Automotive, including Auto Express, it is transforming into one of the UK's largest destinations for everything cars. As James transitions from his role as CEO, his legacy continues to influence Carwow's trajectory. Join us as we explore James's journey, the strategic decisions shaping Carwow, and the future of automotive retail. James, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks, Mike. Good to be here. Good to see you again.
So without further ado, James, could you perhaps give us an overview of your career to date before we delve into the detail?
Yeah, sure. So, my career is almost just Carwow. So I did a finance degree at university, which was, university was fun, but I didn't learn very much or nothing applicable. I left that thinking that I wanted to go into the world of finance. So I got an internship at a fund management company in Liverpool, which I think is one of the ways we met way back. When I joined, they were about 20 people in a room, so we got full exposure to everything. And when I joined, they had about 3 billion under assets under management. When I left, they had 1.5 billion. So I watched their value half in 3 months, and I thought, this world's not for me. They're riding a wave. Lots of smart people, but not enough control. So I went skiing for a fair old while and worked as a ski guide. And then when I got back, I thought, I have no idea what I want to do. And it was my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, who said, let's start a business together. And the advice I always read was do something in an area you've got a passion for. I've always been into cars. My wife wasn't, but I got that to say. And we launched a website that had a whole load of content aggregated to help you choose which car to buy. So dirt cheap business model, because I was basically pulling together what everyone else was doing the hard work on, presenting it on a nicely designed website that my wife made for us. And we got going. And no one went to the website, because when you launch a website, no one cares. But we hustled for many, many years. We didn't have any money, but learned about SEO in terms of how you get up Google, did as much PR as we could. Brought on board a very good co-founder, David, who's still our CTO, who built a kind of proper website, and realized along the way that this kind of helping you choose which car to buy is a massive problem, and still one that we still strive to solve. But helping them buy a car was an even bigger problem. So we focused in on brand new cars and created ultimately what Carwow was known for the last few years, which was helping you compare offers, compare prices from dealers, connecting with them, and letting you buy it direct from them.
I mean, the pitch hasn't really changed, has it, in terms of some of the barriers that exist? I remember when you set up the business, it was, it was helping the consumer feel informed before they go into a car dealership.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of confidence around cars is still our guiding vision, and we've evolved now. It's not just brand new cars. We help you with selling your current car as well, which is a huge part of the business now today. We help you with used cars as well, and the content's evolved from us just collecting what everyone else said to us being the kind of a big voice, having our own opinions on content, written content on social, and obviously very big on YouTube as well.
Yeah, very big. Are you able to elaborate on the timing and the planning involved in your decision to step down as CEO, especially considering some of the significant milestones that Carwow's achieved already, and, give us a feel of your current role within the business, because you're still in the business, just not as CEO.
Yeah, for sure. So, the timing was right. We had, for the business, the timing was right because we had an amazing COO, JB, who's now our CEO. He'd been there for 3 years. He'd had all the revenue, so all the markets reporting to him. And then I gave him marketing about 2 years in as well. So he had all the kind of day-to-day levers. And the business, frankly, had kind of got through the storm. So the storm for us wasn't so much COVID was obviously messy for everyone. It was more the chip crisis that came a little bit after COVID, because we were ultimately at the time only helping you buy a new car. So ultimately, we were helping dealers and manufacturers sell new cars. And the big problem was they didn't have any cars to sell. So they didn't really need us that much. Now, somehow we managed to grow the business during that still, but that was very, 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 very tough time for us. And as a result, we acquired this business that got us into our sell my car business. So that's helping you sell your car, helps dealers source stock. Now a very, very, very large part of the business. But if it wasn't for that acquisition, we'd have been in a fairly sticky spot. But basically, just over this time last year, we got through the chip crisis. So dealers and car manufacturers are back knocking on our door saying we need help to shift it. Jamie had been very experienced, knew the business. So it was a very seamless handover. And then personally, not coincidentally, I'd had a baby 5 weeks ago. Enjoyed a good month off, which was the longest I've ever had off. And I very much enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I guess looking back over the years since when you set up Carwow, the market's very different. And, you know, one of the things that's always, it shouldn't surprise me, but it has, in terms of how nimble Carwow has been and how, you know, agile it's been to some of these changes. And of course, there's been tough periods like the chip crisis, as you said, and, you know, people would write off Carwow when agency was coming, etc. But the business has this remarkable agility to kind of you know, work with significant change. And let's face it, we're going to get a lot of change in the next decade. So what would you say was the biggest challenge for you? Was it the chip crisis, or was it, you know, earlier days? Or
no, I mean, the chip crisis is the biggest over the last 4 or 5 years. When, I mean, Carwow's been at some significant scale for, again, a good 4 or 5 years, but that was the biggest area. No, the biggest challenge was much earlier before that, when we were growing from a small business of 20, 25 people. We raised quite a lot of money and we grew very, very quickly in headcount to about 150, and everything fell apart. So all the kind of culture, made some very bad, particularly senior hires. And I mean, again, we always grew every single year without fail, but the growth was never what it should have been during a period where the market was actually on our side for it. But that was frankly kind of naivety and inexperience and going too fast, too quickly. And at the same time, we launched Germany, which was, I mean, now a very big part of the business, but very slow to get going to start with. So you had quite a lot of kind of factors combining at once, trying to do too much with a team that was not right in many ways at the time. So we had to reset the business slightly. This was probably 2017, and we're much the better for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think these are common challenges across any sector, really, and particularly when you've got a lot of capital to grow as well. There's that kind of pressure.
When you get that much capital, it's not always the best thing, because you start trying to deploy it very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But we've been through so many ups and downs that by the time the chip crisis and almost COVID came, it was kind of, all right, well, here's another thing to deal with. But I quite like that. I get very bored very quickly. So if it's too steady states, my kind of attention switches off slightly. So a bit of chaos is a bit fun.
What do you think was your biggest decision for the group as CEO? What was the single biggest decision you made?
Potentially, it was one or two things. One was hiring Matt Watson to launch the YouTube channel. So we were big in, well, we weren't that big. We were okay in written content at the time. And that was a kind of investment without any certainty, in terms of not cheap to hire Matt as an individual and to hire everything that he needs in terms of camera people and editors and camera equipment and track rental at the time. Quite a few of the board were kind of like, this seems a bit of a risky kind of bet, but I convinced them to do it. And now it's the world's biggest media business for cars. We've replicated that success in Germany with another presenter and in Spain with a different presenter. And it's a huge marketing channel for us.
I must admit, James, when you told me about that, I wasn't sure about it either. And then when you said,
exactly.
And when you said we might be able to replicate that in other European countries, given how big Matt was in the UK, again, I was I was doubtful of that. I've got to be honest, because it was you think, how can you replicate that in other European countries? But you managed to do that. So fair play to you. That's what you need, I guess. Is that visionary and the willingness to kind of go through, what might seem to be a bit crazy at the time and a bit unconventional.
Yeah, you got to have the long-term planning as well as the kind of day-to-day. Make sure you hit the numbers. But I think the second biggest thing that we did was we acquired a very small business called Whizzle in 2021, which helped us launch. It was the launch pad basically for our Sell My Car business. That's now a very big part of the business. And the history of that was I'd kept in touch with the founder there, a guy called Seb, many times over the years. And I'd seen that they'd grown a bit, but maybe hadn't quite had the success. I'd also kept in touch with the competitor of theirs at the time called Tootle, who, again, I'd seen they'd grown a tiny bit, and then they ultimately went bankrupt in the end. So I wasn't 100% sold on the model until, frankly, Motorway had come along with the same model as Whizzle, but they had better capitalization, and saw that they were growing nicely. So I was doing a catch-up with Seb, the founder, and we thought, well, the timing's right too. The chip crisis was properly starting to kick off, so we thought we needed a kind of diversification during this. And now it's not so much some people have said it's a pivot. It's not a pivot at all. It's just adding in another stream of diversification into the business. Yeah. Helps our dealers, helps our consumers, and it's transformed the business as well.
I mean, JV is very passionate about marketplaces as well, isn't he? So can we expect...
It's an amazing experience.
Yeah. I mean, can we expect more, as you say, kind of pivots? I mean, we'll come on to the acquisition, which I'm keen to go through, because I think that when you explain why you do that and the marginal cost of leads that could lead, that feels quite exciting as well. It doesn't feel like JV's done after this acquisition in terms of developing Carwow as a marketplace either. Is that right?
Yeah. So we want. I mean, again, we want. There's always things we're looking at, and there's things that we've got very close with that for the reason have happened. But I mean, the number one thing we have is a huge amount of consumer reach and traffic.
Yes.
What we want to do is add in other services to help people change their car or make decisions about their car. And we will always adopt a marketplace model because we think it's the best kind of business. It's asset light. It's full choice for the consumer, full choice in terms of options that everyone has. So yeah, we love it. And JV's got amazing experience of international marketplaces, of publicly listed marketplaces as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very, very confident he'll continue to lead it.
And just on the Automotive acquisition, are you able to just explain how it came about and what it kind of brings to Carwow, what you hope?
Yeah, so Automotive, just for those who don't know, was spun out of Dennis Publishing. So it owns Auto Express, it owns Evo. Both those publish magazines, but the website's the kind of bit of interest largely for us. Another brand called Carwow, which is a bit like a kind of fairly rational kind of help you choose which car to buy. And then also a website called Driving Electric. Combined, they've got very, very big reach. So it's around, I think, 15 million monthly views. So about doubles our UK traffic. So all their titles combined is equal to about Carwow's current traffic. So doubles our consumer reach. And the plan for that is to enable all those audiences to also buy their car and sell their car via Carwow ultimately as well. And a lot of efficiencies we make a large amount of money nowadays from car manufacturers marketing with us. And ultimately that was the business model for Automotive's different publications. I mean, that came about as one of those slightly kind of serendipitous things that, I mean, we'd spoken with Automotive many times over the years. I always try and keep in touch with everyone in the industry. And I sat next to the partner at Exponent who owned them at a dinner 4 years ago or something. And then he reached out in the spring of last year, so 23, and said, look, we're thinking of kind of divesting from it. And we jumped on it very quickly. It took a while to get the deal done, but we got there.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting, as you're saying, some great, that combination of the consumer reach plugged into your model is very exciting.
Yeah.
I think people didn't expect you to make a move like that as well, which again adds to the excitement.
No, we think, I mean, we've had a good history of launching things organically. So if you look at Germany or Spain, or the leasing business that we launched, or the car manufacturer we launched, but also through acquisitions. So Sell My Car was launched ultimately via an acquisition. Our Spanish YouTube channel, we actually acquired the channel from the guy running it. So it was a small acquisition. And then also a lot of hard work now for the team to integrate it all, but confident that should add. But yeah, we're on the hunt for more.
Yeah, exciting. So Carwow entered a new phase under new leadership. They're expanding their business model and marketplace, as you say. What are your predictions for the future of car buying and selling, and how do you think Carwow will stay at the forefront of this evolution?
Yeah, so I think that the challenges remain as they were largely 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago even, that consumers are quite confused when it comes to buying a car. It's such a massive financial decision. There's so much choice. It's a very rational, but also very irrational, subjective, brand-led decision, which makes it so fascinating, very emotional. And I think no one's cracked the kind of simple stuff of what car should I buy? How should I pay for it? Where should I buy it? How do I get rid of my old car? We want to make sure that we solve all of that via Carwow and that we're the go-to place. I think the industry has evolved quite a lot. There's some obvious trends coming through of electric confusion, I'd say, from the consumer. Massive targets for the manufacturers to hit, which we help them with a lot, but they're tough. You got all the Chinese car brands you spend a lot of time with, fascinating, and very, very good cars at very affordable prices. You got the whole kind of agency, won't it happen, backtracking or delaying. We don't really ultimately mind which way it goes. We do well with either way, but confusion to the dealers and the manufacturers in that regard as well. And yeah, it's just continuous kind of change of consolidation and change of ownership and change of personnel at OEMs and dealers fairly rapidly at the moment. Yeah, we just roll with it.
It feels like, where there's confusion and change, Carwow will be, will benefit. That's why it was set up, and
exactly.
You can't be afraid of the future.
Yeah, the more ways of buying a car, the more powertrains, the more brands, the more models, the better the car. The more need that there is for someone to really help you work out what you should do.
Well, that's great, and I think that's a natural kind of conclusion, really, into going through your history, where Carwow is now and where it's likely to go in the future. It's been a privilege to have you on, James. Really appreciate your time.
No, cheers, Mike. Good fun.
If you want to listen to more episodes of the podcast, we're on all good audio platforms. Our website is also www.cambriaprivatecapital.com, and you can also find myself on LinkedIn and Twitter, where we publish our weekly blogs as well. Please do get in touch if you want more information.